Hello and welcome to CNR Extra on City TV. My name is Nanatu Fuabwati. Coming up. Traders at the new KTR market demand compensation for their goods destroyed by water after another pipe burst at the facility.
We are proceeding to court. We are taking the legal step. We want to test the law and tell the court this is what our members, this is what traders are going through.
Coastal Development Authority debunks claims they desecrated the tomb of former President Gov't and Atta-Mills.
Nobody has tampered with any tomb. What is being done is a reconstruction of the Asomdwe Park. President Mills died as President of the Republic.
Still to come, Lands and Natural Resources Ministry sets up committee to look into alleged military brutalities on some miners in Obuasi.
The ministry has set up an investigative committee chaired by the Deputy Minister for Mines, Honorable George Mekutuka. The committee was constituted yesterday. They began work earnestly and they've gone very far with their work.
Talejo Kuku Municipal Assembly demolishes over 10 structures on waterways at A Life, a suburb of the municipality.
We are not going to compensate them. We are actually going to surcharge them with the cost of this work because they have no permit whatsoever. So the cost of the excavation and all that will be surcharged to them.
Many thanks for choosing us. As usual, we'd like to hear from you. And you can do that via the WhatsApp number 0550585832. In the studio with me is Jude Mensah Duncan. Looking sharp as always.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be here.
Good stuff, good stuff. We're moving straight into our first story. We're starting off from the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, where traders are up in arms with the management of the KGTR market. That's the new KGTR market. Let's get the details in this report and then we can have a conversation.
The scores of traders at the new KGTR market in Kumasi are once again counting their losses after some pipes in the facility burst and led to flooding, which has in turn destroyed their goods. Now, during City News' visit to the market on Wednesday morning, the affected persons were seen scooping water out of their shops as they lamented that several items had been destroyed. Now, following the latest incident, two traders groups, an 11-member steering committee and concerned Central Markets Traders Association have decided to proceed to court to demand compensation for the affected persons. Our bureau chief for the Middle Belt, Edward Pomafo, reports.
Wednesday morning's incident brings to 7 the number
now,
of
aid
times
to
the
former
best
President
Gov't
and Atta-Mills
and
and
destroyed works of the traders. Mami Nyakon, a trader who is among the many people whose items have been destroyed as a result of the best pipes, has been left devastated.
Last man call many pressure. My pressure and I'm 215. Pressure. So me who da menka. The same person. Me nema say anya sam ketua. Me who da menka kra. Me da beti menka o. Blenders, kettles, and servers, pie, and chance say, Nina say. That's a me who da menka.
For many traders, they have had to deal with a recurrent issue, but they have not received any form of compensation from the management of the market. After the previous incident on Friday, trader group leaders at the market in an interview with City News said they were convinced that based on the assurances from the management, such an incident will not recur. The traders are now growing increasingly worried about this and have been meeting to jointly proceed to court to demand compensation for the affected persons. The General Secretary of the concerned Central Market Traders Association, who doubles as the Secretary for the Federation of Kumasi Traders, Rubin Ame, has been speaking to City News.
This is the 7th time this is happening. And this particular spot, this is the 3rd and 4th time this is happening to them. So imagine within few weeks, within a month or two, 4 good times you have your wells being destroyed by water through no fault of yours. Yet nothing is being told you. Nothing. Nobody even sits with you to even discuss anything. All you know is that you come back from the house early in the morning to come and trade, and all your goods are damaged by water through no fault of yours. And authorities want us to just sit aloof and watch them. No, it won't happen. This time around, what we are saying is that 2 trader groups, 11-member steering committee, and then Concerned Central Market Traders Association have decided to proceed to court. We are proceeding to court. We are taking the legal step. We want to test the law and tell the court, this is what our members, this is what traders are going through. This is how their capital is being depleted on daily basis. Yet nothing is being given to them. And let the law tell us whether we have a remedy or we do not have a remedy. Because enough is enough. We've had it to the neck. Can you imagine this is the 7th time? And there hasn't been any stakeholders meeting to even think about how to even look at solving the problem. All you hear is that, you are working on it. You are working on it. What you are demanding is that we are demanding for damages for all those who have had their wells destroyed. Don't sow in over here. Ask them, the whole of today they are not going to sow. Will you give them chop money for the day? Their wells have been destroyed. Someone brought someone's cloth to a tailor to sew. It has been destroyed. He has to get his back. I can't give him the money to pay. We are claiming for damages and compensation for our members.
The traders also want issues concerning the renewal of insurance at the facility to be critically looked at by the market's management and the board.
The insurance policy for this market has way expired. It has expired long ago. They have not renewed it. But yet, every month, they take money from the traders for insurance. Where is that money going to? Where is that money going to? Yet, when their wells are destroyed, you tell me you have no compensation for them. Is it their fault for their wells to get destroyed? No. They want to be the leaders. Yes, here we are. They should come and kill us. We will say it. We will talk about it. We will not keep quiet any longer.
The managing director of the facility, Kofi Dufour, has not been available for comment following the latest incident.
The affected traders are counting their losses as they are scooping water out of their shops. They have reiterated the call for authorities to find a lasting solution to the issue. For City News, I'm Edward Opodmarfo, KGTN.
7 times in 6 months. I mean, this cannot be comprehended.
It doesn't make any sense at
all. And for a fairly new facility like the KTR market, really, this is not something that should be happening.
Mind you, the most recent redevelopments happened in 2019. But I see, Nana Tufo, when you have a place, we understand is the largest market in West Africa, for example, about 10,000 stores after the second redevelopment that was commissioned by the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So when you have a very large market like that, it means that there'll be a lot of vehicular and human traffic in that area. And some of these things are to be expected. You have people who want to break the law and try to have illegal connections. There'll be pipe bursting issues here and there. So when you have large human and vehicular traffic in such areas, it makes it very difficult for law enforcement in some of these instances. But like you said, in 2015, the redevelopment happened under former President John Mahama. Some whopping $298 million was pumped into this. Are we saying that no feasibility studies was done to ensure that some of these cracks and loopholes had to be addressed? So for me, it's a big problem, and we need some clarity on it. Going forward, there was another redevelopment. Of course, some politics will come into play, because if the NDC had done something like that in KJT, I expect the NPP to also try and react. Maybe not, but they have to also address some pertinent issues.
But you see, what is more important here is our maintenance culture and how poor that is. I mean, there's a management in charge of this facility. There is a mayor of Kumasi under whose purview or whose mandate this facility sits. So what management practices have been instituted at the KGTR market to ensure that this does not reoccur? Because just like we heard in that clip, this is not the first, this is not the second. And where the particular spot where this particular one happened, this is like the 4th time they're experiencing this.
I totally agree with you. And across board, as a country, our maintenance culture is not the best. You go to some state institutions and you wonder if there's actually a plan to make sure all of these things are checked regularly and the changes that need to be added on to done. Nana, for one of the reasons why this whole redevelopment happened in 2015, if you remember, was that at the time there was incessant fire outbreaks in the place. So one reason to curb it was the redevelopment, which saw an expansion of the market.
Now from fire to flat.
And now from fire to flat. So it goes back to my major question: what really was the feasibility studies? Feasibility studies was conducted to address some of these challenges? It leaves much to be desired, and for me, you can feel the pain of the shop owners in that place. What's really the point if at the end of every week you'd have to throw away certain goods because it's been flooded, the cost incurred, the stress can even lead to the death of some of the shop owners, as we've seen in the past. So it's unfortunate. It's sad that this is happening. And one of the traders make a very important point about the insurance policy for the market. For instance, what is the state of the insurance policy of the market? And I understand the KJTR market falls within the purview of the Subin constituency. And I expect the Member of Parliament to take some of these issues very seriously, because if you have, for instance, the largest single open market in West Africa, you don't want some of these things to be bottlenecks and happening in the area. You want to address, because it can be a very viable way governments can make a lot of money, industrialization and all of those things. I mean, those conversations.
But you see, the management of the facility needs to be looked at, because this is not the only challenge they've been having. I mean, if a month or two back they were having electricity challenges. We even saw the Electricity Company of Ghana disconnect power supply to the facility due to some debts. Now, the traders there had wanted single prepaid meters for individual stores so they can at least monitor their consumption and all that. And then, of course, there was the back and forth with all that. Now we are having this water challenge. So really, management or whoever supervises the management of the facility,
it falls directly at them, and they should be held responsible for all the things that is happening. That's unfortunate. But then again, what really went into the redevelopment of the place, were some of these concerns addressed, or was just for the jamboree that came along with the commissioning of some of these things? It's unfortunate, and some of these things are happening, and we need to bring an end to it as soon as possible.
All right, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you think about the stories that we will be bringing you, and so send in your comments on the WhatsApp number 0550585832. We're moving on to our next story, and it's been 10 years since the passing of the former president John Evans Atta-Mills, as the country prepares to celebrate his 10th anniversary. There's some back and forth between the family, the authorities, and of course the Atta-Mills Institute. Let's get some details from this clip, and then we'll be back to talk about it.
Now, aide to former President John Evans Atta-Mills and founder of the Atta-Mills Institute, Samuel Kokwanyidoho, has denied claims of tampering with the grave of the late president. Now, brother of the late president and member of parliament for Commander Edina Egwafo Brim, Samuel Atta-Mills, addressing the press and parliament on Tuesday, said Kokwanyidoho, together with the Coastal Development Authority, have tampered with the tomb without recourse to the family. Now, responding to the accusations, Mr. Anyidoho said he will not dignify the insult meted out to him, and that his action is solely to preserve the memory of the late former president.
Behind me is the Asumdwe Park at Osu in Accra, where the body of the late former president John Evans Atta-Mills was laid to rest some 10 years ago. With time, we got to realize that the area was in disarray, with portions of the tomb broken and intruders also making their way to the mausoleum to undertake their own activities. Government decided to embark on some renovation works to ensure that the place is actually fit for purpose. But on Tuesday, the family of the late former president, led by the Member of Parliament for Commander Edina Egwafo Brim, Sam Atta-Mills, actually accused the government together with the Coastal Development Authority, CODA, and the former aide of the late former President John Evans Atta-Mills, Samuel Kokwanyidoho, of tampering with the tomb and also breaking into the tomb of the former President John Evans Atta-Mills.
Why would you go and touch somebody's grave without informing the family? Now, the question I want to ask is this. Now that you've gone to touch it, is the body still in that grave? What did you put in that grave? What kind of rituals did you perform over there? Why would you go and touch the grave without informing us? Who has the body now? And that is a question that I want to ask Ghanaians. Who has the body now?
In our interaction with the former aide of the late John Evans Atta-Mills, Koku Ayindoho, he has denied tampering with the tomb of the former president. According to him, his action is merely to preserve the memory of the deceased.
Nobody has tampered with any tomb. What is being done is a reconstruction of the Asomdwe Park. President Mills died as president of the Republic of Ghana. Where has Sami Atta-Mills been all these 10 years? He now remembers that the late president was his brother. What has he done to keep the memory of his brother alive? He insults me, he calls me names, all because I want to keep the memory of his brother alive. I will not respond to him for the only reason that I respect President John Evans Atta-Mills. He's the one who gave me a job to do. He's the one who called me into national service and to work for him. Who is Sami Atta-Mills? He says I'm a buffoon. That's up to him. But Zoe, nobody has touched any grave, even in our small family circles. When people die, don't we construct tombstones? And in constructing the tombstones, do we touch the graves? Do we touch the graves? It's just putting up a nice tombstone, to remember the president well. And thanks to President Akufo-Addo. I think that's what is hurting them. And I continue to thank President Akufo-Addo for building Asomdwe Park.
The Coastal Development Authority, CODA, which is also funding this renovation works, has issued a statement denying tampering with the tomb. According to the authority, there was an engagement with relevant stakeholders in charge of national monuments before the Coastal Development Authority. There is a redesign and construction of an ICT lab, library, cafeteria and artifact buildings which have been completed. Construction of a concrete shed and replacement of aluco bond panels over tomb of the late president, which is also completed. Construction of fence wall and 2 restrooms for security staff, which is also completed. Construction of entrance for general public and VIPs, which is also completed. Paving of 50-meter walkway to and around the tomb with porcelain tiles, which is also completed. Asphalting of driveway to general entrance, which is currently ongoing. Landscaping of general area around the tomb, which is ongoing. According to the Coastal Development Authority, the grave was not opened and therefore no desecration of the body of the former president, His Excellency John Evans Atta-Mills, has taken place. A visit to the Asomdwe Park currently, we have noticed that there has been security deployment, police officers for that matter. We've noticed about 4 police officers who have been stationed here to ensure that the area is actually devoid of any sins. But we've noticed that there is some works ongoing within the facility. Reporting for City News, my name is Ni Ayikwe Okayan.
It's not such a bad thing to want to redevelop the Asomdwe Park where there remains.
It's a good thing, actually.
Yes, but you see, there are some questions coming out of all this. Really, who manages the Asomdwe Park? Because we know that the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board is where the body that manages all state monuments.
Yeah.
And now we are hearing Coastal Development Authority issue a statement as to being or supervising the redevelopment of the park.
Yeah.
They outlined the scope of work. It makes perfect sense. But my question here is, John Evans Atta-Mills died as a president of Ghana, a former president of Ghana, but he has a family.
Yeah.
Why was the family not contacted? And you see, in such a year where we're preparing to celebrate his 10th anniversary, clearly there will be eyes and ears looking in that direction.
You see, Nana Tufo, the wedding and the commentary that has characterized all of this thing that is happening right now, this particular issue, for me is the most unfortunate. And it doesn't represent any of the values the former president left with us. At the point growing up, his name became synonymous with the word peace.
Asumdue.
Reason why the park was probably even named Asumdue Park. What is happening right now doesn't seem to me as very peaceful at all. And it's very unfortunate. And I expect that the factions involved, both the family led by the MP, Honorable Samuel Atta-Mills, and of course Kuku. I mean, you can understand
Atta-Mills Institute
in
the middle, and of course Koda now representing government on the other side.
And I was saying that you can understand the passion with which Mr. Kuku Anyidowu has or is exhibiting in this particular one, because he probably worked with him closely. But like you're saying, some of these things can't be done without the family's notice. And you make a very important point too, for which I 100% agree with you. Why or where does Koda come in this? For the last I checked, it was Coastal Development Authority. I understand that they just came in from the angle of funding the whole redevelopment or making the place look better and befitting for
but per the statement, not to cut you, but per the statement, it says that they are working under the strict orders of President Akufo.
Yeah, I read the statement. I was going to come to that one. That's fair enough. But for me, I feel the proper state agency which should have been overseeing something like this for me is the Department of Parks and Gardens. Because if it's the Asumdue Park, then the Department of Parks and Gardens can come in. I believe they have the requisite skill, the requisite
knowledge, the technical
knowledge and all of those things to ensure that some of these things are done, not necessarily with a political lens. Because when you just shift it to Koda and some of these agencies without proper explanation to the ordinary Ghanaian, trust
like
Ghanaians
I mentioned earlier, this is
link
a
it to
monument,
politics.
so it is just right and proper that the Ghana Museums and Monument Board takes over management of such a place.
That's even a better alternative, if you ask me, than Koda. So when Koda comes into the picture, of course, you find people trying to draw political lenses to some of these things. But for instance, like you're saying, the Monument Board or for me, I'm quite convinced that the Department of Parks and Gardens should be leading some of these things. So we would want to just urge both factions and especially the family to really desist from the public spat that is going on, because it doesn't honor the memory of the former president in any way at all. So I'm sure this is just about our way of pleading with the two factions to just cease fire and just let a peaceful coexistence exist between the family and the Atta-Mills Institute.
Well, just to get this out of the way, I mean, the statement also mentioned that Koda notified all bodies in charge of monuments in the country, all state monuments.
Yeah, it's still not reason enough for me. It's still not reason enough for me at all.
Yeah, just to get that out of the way. But yes, let's move into other stories. And of course, there's a fight against illegal mining. There's an Operation Halt. But then we are seeing footage of what appears to be alleged torturing of some persons suspected to be illegal miners. There's been a back and forth between the minority and, of course, government and the small-scale miners associations themselves. Let's bring you details in this report.
The Lands and Natural Resources Ministry has set up a committee to probe alleged military brutalities on some miners in Obuasi in the Ashanti region. Reports indicate that some miners under government's community mining scheme encroached on a concession currently being mined by Anglo Gold Ashanti. The committee is to look into the allegations of brutalities and advise government on actions to be taken. City News' Kujajman has the rest of the story.
Wednesday's press briefing was to update the general public on some important interventions made by key agencies of the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. Top of the list were land administration issues, greening Ghana's spaces, and the fight against illegal mining. Touching on the fight against illegal mining, the sector minister listed government's policy to have a mercury-free mining. Samuel Abdullah Jinapo notes that the government has purchased 300 more of mercury-free gold processing machines to promote sustainable mining in the artisanal small-scale mining sector. Commenting on alleged military brutalities in Obuasi that led to the arrest of some illegal miners, Samuel Jinapo announced that a committee has been set up to look into the matter.
Wants to know about Obuasi soldiers and all of that, and minorities press conference. And yes, the minority press conference, that one is very much within their remit, and I'm not too sure we expected anything less. So I won't make any comment on that. The ministry has set up an investigative committee chaired by the Deputy Minister for Mines, Honorable Gov't and Atta-Mills Institute. The committee was constituted yesterday. They began work earnestly, and they've gone very far with their work. And we will produce a report, and we will act on the report. Suffice for me to say to you that dealing with galamsey and illegalities in the extractive industry anywhere in the world is quite complicated. And you have some of these challenges and some of these setbacks and so on and so forth. But what is important is for us to assemble the unimpeachable facts first. And then on the basis of the unimpeachable facts, we'll take it from there. Always remember that the people who are purported, and I use this word with emphasis, who are purported to be in the video and alleged to be involved in this conduct, and alleged with emphasis again, are soldiers, are supposed to be soldiers. And if indeed it's established that they are soldiers, it will not be a matter within the remit of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources alone. It will then be a collaborative effort between my ministry and the Ministry of Defense and the leadership of the Ghana Armed Forces. And as you know, the Ghana Armed Forces is a very astute institution which is very adept at dealing with these matters. So early days yet. Let's be patient. We'll get to the bottom of it.
One issue that got governments of Ghana and Bulgaria talking was the demolition of the Bulgarian embassy in Accra. A committee was set up to implement the recommendations of the sole inquirer. Giving updates on the matter, Samuel Jinapo said the committee is mediating with their Bulgarian counterparts to find an amicable solution.
I set up this sole inquirer headed in the person of Justice Oforiatta, who is a very distinguished judge, High Court judge, retired High Court judge himself, with a wealth of experience in land disputes and litigation and all of that. Was one time chairperson for the Lands Commission in Ashanti region, and has brought up a report which for me is very impressive and which covers almost all the aspects of the matter. And I think we've made known to the country what the executive summary of the report is. We finished the Bulgarian consulate in Accra a copy of the full report. I have met the Bulgarian ambassador to Nigeria, who has concurrent mandate to our country, Ghana, and we've had very fruitful discussions. I've been exchanging correspondence with him all this while. We set up a team to see to the implementation of the sole inquiry's report. The Deputy Minister, Benito Usubio, Honorable Benito Usubio, is chairing that committee. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has a representative on that committee. The Technical Director for Lands at the Ministry, Mr. Isafwa, is a committee flat out to bring closure to this matter. The matter is boiling down to some sort of mediation, and I wouldn't bore you with the nitty-gritties of it. But they are working. They've met the parties multiple times, and I believe that, fingers crossed, and with the blessings of God, we should be able to bring closure to this matter. And the bigger issue of diplomatic missions, embassies in our country, and their interest in landed property and how we deal with them, how we safeguard them, to have Ghana continue to be the respected member of the international community. That is also ongoing. So be very rest assured about that.
The ministry has tasked this committee to look into the alleged brutalities meted out to some miners who are reported to be members of government community mining. We'll keep you posted on the work of this committee. My name is Kojo Achman reporting for City News.
You see, issues like this seek to empower persons who have always had challenges with the military being deployed to stop illegal mining. And of course the involvement, like we mentioned the other day, the involvement of the military in civil matters. When you see issues like this cropping up, it's to give credence to human rights activists who complain that there's always some level of abuse when the military is involved in some of these matters.
It's true, Nana Tufo, because you see, the ways we've done certain things in the past, for instance, gives a lot of credence to what you're saying. And Nana, for me, I feel we don't break the law in an attempt to enforce the law. You get it. Two rights don't make a wrong. And for me, it's important to also note that for now, these are just mere allegations. Like the minister said, investigations would commence into the matter and would ascertain whether or not those involved are actually military men. But that's notwithstanding, like I'm saying.
But you see, if a minister speaks like this, I have a problem, because you have sanctioned or commissioned a team to go in there and help a fight you are championing. Are you telling us that you don't know the people you have sent in there?
You see,
it's just a call away to the 54BN or whichever battalion is handling the team that was deployed there.
Exactly.
And you will know who they are.
You see, I totally agree with you, but then again, might not be as simplistic as like that. But I see, in order for the bigger questions still remain. For me, I feel like over the years in this country, the way we've gone about punishment for certain offenses has not really been the best. And then again, a law is only efficient if it's able to be enforced. I mean, think about it. If the punishment for littering was serving 20 years in prison, for instance, can you imagine what our prisons will become? So to make the law efficient or to make the law effective, the punishment should be commensurate with the offense. So for me, it comes back to what the punishment for illegal miners are again. Because if you take, for instance, the people who were caught and punished in that manner, very cruel and we shouldn't countenance this at all. But I see, if you take, for instance, the punishment, it gives me the impression that perhaps maybe the people involved or the security agencies, the security officials involved probably didn't know what to do again. They were probably tired, because you go to
but you see, you cannot be tired. You are a trained officer.
Exactly.
You have been sent on a mission. You have your marching orders. You know your scope of work. You cannot be tired.
But see, maybe not them, but the system is tired.
Because that is no excuse to treat people this way. Because these are human beings.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you on this one. You see, but the issue is that, like I'm saying, maybe the system is tired. Maybe the system doesn't have what it takes. To make sure these people go through the required processes involved for punishment or justice to be meted out to them. So for me, that is an issue. But then again, what again is our plan? What is the punishment for people like that? And in the past, we had the ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, coincidentally the brother of the minister, Honorable John Jinapos, say to the media that if you look at the way we've treated illegal miners in the country, local illegal miners in the country, for instance, as against those expatriate or foreign illegal miners in the country.
We've seen reports that say that there are only 2 Chinese people in Ghana.
How can you tell me this story? I mean, how can you tell me this story? And the very popular one, mind you, when the Chinese queen was caught, we had the commentary from the senior minister at the time saying that there was no benefits whatsoever keeping her. It doesn't aid our economy in any way. So you see, we've not put in place the proper structures to address some of these things. And for me, we need to really look at our justice delivery system, especially in the area of mining or illegal mining. We need to relook at some of these things. What is the most efficient punishment you can give to some of these illegal miners? But a bigger conversation to be had on this is about the livelihoods. I feel like we need to start empowering these communities where some of these illegal mining instances or issues are going on, because when you give them such livelihoods they can thrive on, I'm sure some of them would stop what they are doing.
Of course, the mineral resources in their community, so they cannot or they wouldn't be comfortable sitting back looking at the big companies just coming in to mine and taking everything. But that's how come government has also set up this community mining project. Maybe if it is well packaged.
What are the numbers? What are the numbers like that?
Hopefully we get to find out.
It's cruel. It's cruel. What we saw in the video is cruel.
It should be condemned.
It's unfortunate, and we shouldn't tolerate it at all.
Let's know what you think. Send us your comments, your thoughts, your contributions on WhatsApp. The number is 0550585832. On Facebook, it's City TV, and of course on Twitter and Instagram is at City TV GH. But stay with us on CNR Extra. Still ahead. We'll tell you about a loan agreement approved by Parliament despite initial resistance by the minority. We'll bring you the details shortly. Stay with us.
Plus is a fully skimmed evaporated milk. Creamy Plus is available in a shop near you.
This message has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
It's Central Expo 2022. The Central Region Coordinating Council, in collaboration with Central Region Development Commission, invites you to Regional Trade, Tourism and Investment Fair DAPT Central Expo 2022 at Adisador College Park, Cape Coast, from Saturday 23rd July to Saturday 30th July from 8 o'clock a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. daily. Theme: promoting trade, tourism and investments in the Central Region, challenges, prospects and solutions. There will be job and business opportunities, partnerships and networking in the Central Region and more. All 22 districts in the region, as well as exhibitors from the diaspora and SMEs, will showcase their goods. There will also be a 2-day business forum to bring together creative ideas, entrepreneurs, investors and corporate bodies. Other activities include entertainment, food bazaar, dancing, raffle draws, mystery shoppers and more. Our special guest of honor is His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana. For more information, contact us at 020-815-7525, 020-815-9260 and 024-3428-563 or 020-9948-159. It's Central Expo 2022.
Welcome back. This is CNR Extra on City TV. My name is Nanatufo Boate and I'm here with Jude Mensah Danka. Let's now take you to Parliament, where it was revealed that really government owes the National Food Buffer Stock Company some amount of money. And then also a loan agreement was approved. Let's get the details.
For Education, Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum has confirmed that government owes the National Food Buffer Stock Company an outstanding amount of 340 million Ghana cedis. Government's indebtedness to the company and other factors has occasioned a feeding crisis in most senior high schools in the country.
Now, responding to questions in Parliament, Dr. Duchum said government is working towards clearing the debt and ending the food shortage in senior high schools. There is more in the following report.
Recently, there were reports of widespread food shortage in senior high schools across the country. The situation was blamed partly on the debts owed the National Food Buffer Stock Company. Sector Minister Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum was in Parliament to answer questions on the matter.
Funding payment obligation of the Ministry of Education to the National Food Buffer Stock Company as at 18 July 2022 is 340,296,866 Ghana cedis and 8 pesos. Government is working towards payment of this outstanding obligation. However, government has released and paid this year an amount of 327,871,809 cedis and 10 pesos to the National Food Buffer Stock Company.
Earlier, the House approved a $750 million loan for infrastructure and growth-related development. Here are excerpts of the debate before the approval of the controversial facility.
Because of the fact that our debt is not sustainable, investors have started panicking to the extent that some of them have started exiting our market. The Speaker, I refer you to the committee's report, page 3, background. The Speaker, you will notice that the second paragraph says that consequently, non-resident investors in Ghana's domestic bonds. For me, this loan, I agree that is important. The Speaker, I do not have basis to reject this loan on the grounds that it is going to, in a way, support the reserves. The Speaker, apart from that, I will have no basis to support this. Because as we speak, the reserves levels are very low. The Speaker, I agree that if you look at the budget statement, page 232 and appendix 3A, the Minister of Finance has said to us that they are going to the Eurobond market or maybe go for a term loan worth 4.8 billion US Ghana cedis. The Speaker, this translates to about $750 million US. And that is why I was at a loss that the minister responsible for finance had requested us to approve $1 billion US for him. The Speaker, we cannot approve $1 billion US. But I agree that the $750 million US is in the budget. And so it calls on all of us to support it. Mr. Speaker, because of the debt sustainability issues, the minister must take steps to reduce government expenditure.
No one in this chamber will doubt the fact that COVID and the Ukraine-Russia war has affected the world economy. Nobody would be in doubt of that fact. And I'm happy that our colleagues have not disputed this fact. Somewhere. We have begun from somewhere. We'll get somewhere. So, Mr. Speaker, these must be considered, and I believe that government in good faith will utilize these funds for the purpose intended. Mr. Speaker, without more, I would like to thank you for the treasured space and urge colleagues to support this facility.
The ranking member on the Roads and Transport Committee, Gov't, Kwame Abuja, raised concerns about what he called the duplicity of funding for the same government projects featured in the $750 million loan approved by the House.
We are not saying we are opposed to the 750. We believe that the clarity that has come so far is too limited. We want the Road Ministry and the Finance Ministry to come together and iron out these things so that Parliament will be well informed as to how these monies are going to be. Because currently it appears as if we are duplicating monies we approved just a few months ago and we are taking from another source. For instance, if you take money, $170 million for all African Games, and for any reason you can't draw down, you need to officially say to Parliament, look, we have closed, or we can't utilize the money, so we need another money. But if you want another $140 million, without explaining to us, is it the case that you actually wanted almost 300 million and you didn't tell us, now you are just taking the money? We don't think that is a way of accounting to the people of this country.
The first tranche of the $1 billion loan, the critical $1 billion loan for government, has just been approved by Parliament. The minority, even though initially vehemently opposed it, the tune changed today on the floor of the House, but they did not shy away from the fact that they were only lending their approval to this loan because at this point in time it is critical to save the ailing economy of the country, as they put it. Reporting for City News from Parliament, my name is Treatment Sopuku.
Well, clearly a softened stance by the minority because you would want to agree that even with our revenues or our taxes, tax-generating revenues, it couldn't have offset our debts. So clearly we have challenges with our debt sustainability, our inflation and all that. But then also you would want to agree that at the point in time where we are, we need money in the system. My only concern is the projects for which these monies are going to be expended on. Yeah. Really, if you look at them, it begs the question of prioritization.
I mean, Nana, you're right. If you look at, for instance, the Finance Ministry, they posted on their website the first quarter results or government performance in the fiscal space, and a total of about 12.9 billion was monies they got from revenue accrued. Yeah. And guess what? For our debt service obligations, some 13.9 billion went into it. So if you look at the numbers, really, we are not able to meet our debt service obligations.
And most of this money was for interest payments and amortizations and all that.
But Nana, quickly, why are we here basically? If you listen to what happened in Parliament or even read the report, it's just because as of the time government was implementing the 2022 budget, the new COVID variant struck. So there was a reimposition of restrictions worldwide, and it affected supply disruptions. It also led to the energy price hikes and all of those things. And global economies became weaker for it as a result. And you look at the three reasons why government is saying they need this 750 million US Afri-Exim Bank, Afri-Exim loan facility. Yeah. Three reasons. Basically, number one, they are saying that critical sectors of the economy need to be addressed. So, for instance, government flagship programs need to be supported. They also mentioned the fact that capital and growth expenditure need to be met. And also the third and very interesting reason that government gave for this is the fact that if you look at non-resident investor confidence, is gradually decreasing. So somewhere last year it was around 35%, came down to about 16%, and guess what? March 2022 is just about 15%. So clearly you can see the decline for it, and it's unfortunate because if you look at our total debt stock as a country, that's somewhere around 3.9 billion Ghana cedis, almost 400 billion. I understand that the new figures will be announced somewhere tomorrow. So the fiscal position of this country is not in an interesting place at all. For that reason, you understand the need or the push for some of these monies to really put in place certain things for government. But Councillor Atufosin raises an interesting point, for instance, and says that government needs to put in place the necessary buffers. They need to show a plan to be able to
demonstrate the ability to repay
some of the loan. But the loan in itself is not a bad decision.
In that story also, we heard the Education Minister admit the debt to the buffer stock company, which has led to the food crisis we are seeing in some of these schools. But fortunately, he did mention some commitments to offset some of these debts. And so we are hoping that conditions in our senior high schools would improve. Now, the Lejekuku Municipal Assembly has embarked on an exercise to pull down structures on waterways. We both know that this will go a long way to reduce the level of flooding whenever it rains in the capital. The following story has the details.
Jokuku Municipal Assembly has pulled down over 10 structures erected on waterways at A-Life within the municipality. The Assembly says this forms part of President Akufo-Addo's directive to demolish structures on waterways to reduce flooding in the country. City News' Kennedy Chumesi has more in the following report read by Enu Safo.
Flooding has been a menace for many years. Thousands of cities are destroyed. Houses also get submerged. The situation is not different in the Lejekuku Municipal Assembly. In view of this, the Assembly for the past weeks have been embarking on a series of activities to bring the menace under control. It began by desilting various lagoons in the municipality to pave way for free flow of water. The most recent is the demolition of structures on waterways. At A-Life in Nungwa, the Assembly demolished over 10 structures erected on waterways.
What happens normally at night when it rains is that the sea is usually high tide, and the sea is high, and the sea is flowing into the lagoons. This river flows into the Sango Lagoon. Now when the sea comes to Sango Lagoon and it rains, the rain has nowhere to go. It must settle in the floodplains for a while, and then at low tide, it will flow into the sea. These floodplains are the plains that have been encroached and have been filled up and then blocked. Therefore, there's a need to clear them, widen the channels again, and in fact, to restore the floodplain so that the water doesn't have to force its way into people's homes when it rains. So this action we are seeing today is to save and to protect the lives and livelihoods of those who live and work around the Teshinungwa estate all the way up to Greater Estate.
The Assembly says it has on countless occasions served notice to persons to desist from building on waterways. Speaking to City News, the Municipal Chief Executive, Mordecai Kwashi, says the Assembly will continually embark on such exercises to permanently end flooding in the municipality.
We came here asking for the permit. Now, when we give a permit, it has legal implications. If they had a permit, then we would have had to compensate them for taking the buildings down. We are not going to compensate them. We are actually going to surcharge them with the cost of this work because they have no permit whatsoever. So the cost of the excavation and all that will be surcharged to them. They are a church. We will surcharge them. If they don't pay, we would take the appropriate legal processes to ensure that we extract from them. And this is a message to all those who are busily filling up waterways. When we get to you, we will demolish it and you will pay for it.
The structures demolished included 3 churches. The Global Revival Ministry is one of them. Members were in service when the exercise began. Even though they admitted to not having permits, others also appealed for more time.
And permit. Beni I'm first time no born through my ba. Obuku na me ba. Ni ameba wo housing be how when you housing wolo. Nti housing be what is land there housing. Wo no what housing must stop work first no what housing. Na ma check won be fair jeme. Fine. Ni ameba. Ni ameke wo stop no tomorrow. No what am officer. No wana MC no me je money je bia ne. No what wana le. Make fine. Be a waterway enye ha permit. But obanye wo feel ke wooden structure ko e. Obanye wo feel wooden structure. She was like she why me no wo feel block with ngulu. You no wo feel block.
We need to be seeing more of such actions. I mean, it will go a long way to save us time, energy, money at the end of the day.
I'm all for every government intervention that seeks to curb flooding, provided it's done in the remits of the law.
Clearly, that's what should be happening. I mean, that's what should be happening. We need to see some of these bold actions.
How can you admit that you don't have a permit
and you want to stay there?
I mean,
clearly, doesn't make sense.
How can you tell me this story?
Anyways, this is CNR Extra, LCT TV, still ahead. Pull-out ceremony held in honor of former Director General of Police Public Affairs Department, DCOP Samuel Kwesifori. We'll hear from him when we come back.
Life is too short, I know if you waste time. Where they up at this, why on not they sleep, make you wake up. Who they call me if you know the party, call me later. If your girlfriend no go, call your side chick, it makes a link combo.
Good day energy drink. Excessive drinking can be detrimental to your health. Not recommended for persons under 18 years, lactating mothers, pregnant women, and people sensitive to caffeine.
This advert is FDA approved.
Well, after attaining the 60-year retirement age, Director General of Police Public Affairs, DCOP Kwesifori, bows out at a pull-out ceremony. The following report has the details.
The outgoing Director General of Police Public Affairs Department, DCOP Samuel Kwesifori, has admonished the public to cooperate with the service in ensuring peace and security. According to him, citizen support is instrumental in intelligence-led operations. Speaking at a pull-out ceremony in his honor, DCOP Kwesifori said police personnel must be celebrated because they sacrifice their lives in line of duty.
After an eventful 35 years of service as a police officer, DCOP Kwesifori's role as police officer came to an end. At a colorful ceremony at the National Police Training School in Accra, the outgoing Director General of Police Public Affairs Department, DCOP Kwesifori, was pulled out of the service on Wednesday, July 20, 2022. After highlighting some of the ordeals police personnel go through to secure lives and property, he called for public support.
To your safety, these gallant men and women have laid down their lives. We might have noticed the contribution of our young men and women in the Blue East fighting highway robberies on the Northern Corridor, fighting robberies of all kinds. And some have even left their homes for the last 6 months, so committed to make sure that security governance operates in those areas. And this is what the police administration stands for. This is the new offer that we're doing to make the Ghanaians safe, to make sure that our traders who commute from one place to the other go there safely, and who continue to do that. So see policemen as people who have dedicated their lives to the cause of our people.
He also admonished the media to be second.
Well, congratulations to the COP Kwesi Fori. But the thing is that he's now a civilian.
I mean, my fondest memory of him was when he allowed the point of view production into the master control area. I think if you watch CTT regularly, you see it's part of our art. Promo, clearly, you could tell a man who was media friendly, who always wanted the public to be informed of police operations and of course advice accordingly. So congratulations to him. He served his country well. We wish him the very best in his next endeavors. But for me, I really like the way he was going about his media engagement and all of those things. So he served his country. There's really not much you can say, but to say that, to wish him well and we are expecting to see his next style of action. Some of us would hope that he would go into training, not necessarily like police training, but some form of public engagement and keep the conversation going on efficient policing for our country.
Great stuff. We hope whoever takes after him toes the same line and continues with a good police media relations. And we wish him well, this COP Kwesi Fori, all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you very much, Jude Mensah Duncan. It's always a pleasure having you on the show.
Always a pleasure to be here too.
Great stuff. And of course, many thanks to you for watching. My name is Nana Tufo Boate. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.